Nearly 30 years ago, the first breakthroughs were made in stem cell research when scientists discovered a way to harvest stem cells from mice embryos. In 1998, scientists discovered a way to do the same with human embryonic stem cells in a lab. Ever since the beginning of stem cell research, presidents as far back as Bill Clinton have had to find a way to reconcile the country's policies on stem cell research in response to the debate that spurred from voters. At the root of the debate on stem cell research are ethical and religious concerns. And in the United States, ethics and religion can greatly affect the outcome of policies. In order to understand the main issues dominating the stem cell research debate, one must first understand stem cell research itself.
Stem cells have the remarkable potential to develop into many different cell types in the body during early life and growth. In addition, in many tissues, they serve as sort of an internal repair system, dividing essentially without limit to replenish other cells as long as the other person or animal is still alive. When a stem cell divides, each new cell has the potential either to remain a stem cell or become another type of cell with more of a specialized function, such as a muscle cell, a red blood cell, or a brain cell.
Embryonic stem cells, as their name suggests, are derived from embryos. Most embryonic stem cells are derived from embryos that develop from eggs that have been fertilized into vitro in an in vitro fertilization clinic and then donated for research purposes with informed consent of the donors. They are not derived from eggs fertilized in a woman's body.
An adult stem cell is thought to be an undifferentiated cell found among differentiated cells in a tissue or organ that can renew itself and can differentiate to yield some or all of the major specialized cell types of the tissue or organ. The primary roles of adult stem cells in a living organism are to maintain and repair the tissue in which they are found. Scientists also use the term somatic stem cell instead of adult stem cell, where somatic refers to the cells of the body. Unlike embryonic stem cells, which are defined by their origin, the origin of adult stem cells in some mature tissues is still under investigation. Human embryonic and adult stem cells each have advantages and disadvantages regarding potential use for cell-based regenerative therapies. One major difference between adult and embryonic stem cells is their different abilities in the number and type of differentiated cell types that they can become. Embryonic stem cells can become all cell types of the body because they're pluripotent. Adult stem cells are thought to be limited to differentiating into different cell types of their tissue of origin.
Another potential application of stem cells is making cells and tissues for medical therapies. Today, donated organs and tissues have often used to replace those that are diseased or destroyed. Unfortunately, the number of people needing a transplant far exceeds the number of organs available for transplantation. Pluripotent stem cells offer the possibility of a renewable source of replacement cells and tissues to treat a myriad of diseases, conditions, and disabilities including Parkinson's disease, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, spinal cord injury, burns, heart diseases, diabetes, and arthritis.
Human embryonic stem cells are thought to have much greater development potential than adult stem cells. This means that embryonic stem cells may be pluripotent. That is, able to give rise to cells found in all tissues of the embryo except for germ cells, rather than being merely multipotent, restricted to specific subpopulations of cell types, as adult stem cells are thought to be. However, a newer type of reprogrammed adult cells called induced pluripotent stem cells has proven to be pluripotent.
Embryonic stem cells can be grown relatively easily in culture. Adult stem cells are rare in mature tissues, so isolating these cells from an adult tissue is challenging, and methods to expand their numbers in cell culture have not yet been worked out. This is an important distinction, as large numbers of cells are needed for stem cell replacement therapies. Scientists believe that tissues derived from embryonic and stem cells may be different in the likelihood of being rejected after transplantation. We don't know whether tissues derived from embryonic stem cells would cause transplant rejection yet. The origin of the stem cell debate mainly lies within the difference between embryonic and adult stem cells. Many prominent voices in politics are vocal about their views on embryonic stem cell research, which seems to be considered unethical by many. Adult stem cell research is, however, much less controversial. The discrepancy lies in the fact that embryos are created specifically for embryonic stem cell research through in vitro fertilization, as previously discussed. These embryos are created only to be destroyed for research purposes, which many argue is completely unethical. Many scientists, however, would argue that embryonic stem cells would generate many more findings than adult stem cells would.
Given their unique regenerative abilities, stem cells offer new potentials for treating diseases such as diabetes and heart disease. However, much work remains to be done in the laboratory and the clinic to understand how to use these cells for cell-based therapies to treat diseases.
There is no doubt that the stem cell debate will continue to raise countless questions and concerns from all Americans. Stem cell research will, until a federal law would ban it, continue to be looked into by scientists everywhere, especially if funded by state and federal governments.
In recent years, when it comes to stem cell research, rather than furthering discovery, our government has forced what I believe is a false choice between sound science and moral values. In this case, I believe the two are not inconsistent. As a person of faith, I believe we are called to care for each other and work to ease human suffering. I believe we have been given the capacity and will to pursue this research, and the humanity and conscience to do so responsibly. It's a difficult and delicate balance, and many thoughtful and decent people are conflicted about or strongly oppose this research. And I understand their concerns, and I believe that we must respect their point of view. But after much discussion, debate, and reflection, the proper course has become clear. The majority of Americans from across the political spectrum and from all backgrounds and beliefs have come to a consensus that we should pursue this research, that the potential it offers is great, and with proper guidelines and strict oversight, the perils can be avoided. That is a conclusion with which I agree. And that is why I'm signing this executive order, and why I hope Congress will act on a bipartisan basis to provide further support for this research.
On March 9, 2009, President Barack Obama issued Executive Order No. 13505, entitled Removing Barriers to Responsible Scientific Research Involving Human Stem Cells. The executive order revokes the presidential statement of August 9, 2001, limiting federal funding for research involving human embryonic stem cells. Currently, individual states have the authority to pass laws to permit human embryonic stem cell research using state funds. Unless Congress passes a law that bans it, states may pay for research using human embryonic stem cell lines that are not eligible for federal funding.
And we will continue to come back with a stem cell legislation until we get a president who will cooperate with the American people and the Democrats and Republicans of both the House and Senate who want to see this promise of medical research to the cures of Alzheimer's and other types of diseases that are affecting their family members.
We should not create human life, create an embryo, and then destroy it for research if there are other options out there.
Politics did not get in the way when it came to finding a cure to polio. And all I can say is thank God this crowd wasn't around when the polio disease was around. They didn't let politics get in the way of serious medical research.
I would have to talk to these guys, you know. It looks to me like you can do the same bang for the buck with adult stem cells that you can for fetal stem cells. If that's true, then I don't want to be harvesting fetal. If it isn't true, then I want to hear it. And I want to see the progress being made. I think that's the fair way to go.
I urge us to reject embryonic stem cell research as the science is not there. Science is very successful in treating patients using adult stem cells and cord blood stem cells, which we agreed to fund and the President signed, and I believe we should support that, and I yield back.